the heck? All right. Is my microphone working? My little microphone. Let's get this thing. I've had a couple people complain about the sound on my regular videos. It's because these mics are like super sensitive, and just judging by, yeah, it's all right. Might be a little quiet. I don't know. I'm trying. Listen, if you ever meet me in person, I have a voice that carries. My wife hates it, but if she ever looks for me in the store, it's easy because if I'm talking, you can hear me. I'm fairly loud. I don't have a volume number knob on me, so I don't know how to turn it down. I just to let you guys know. So when I'm shooting videos, if you notice, the mic's down here because I'm trying not to be too loud and peak the mic. Whereas when I use it for live streams, it's just me in here. I don't know. Anyway, I answered a whole bunch of comments on the YouTube channel earlier. So what's going on? Getting my motor back together. Going to Sickle Hill Car. Awesome. That's. I got thinking this is nearing the end of February and March, April. So yeah, it's a good thing I got the chassis kind of going, the clone cart, because I do have the intent on running it April 26th. If all goes well, if everything comes together, dropped off my engine, that's getting refreshed and rebuilt and updated to current AKRA NKA standards. And then the cart is getting all bearings and everything. So yeah. Okay, so was upper dispenser thinking it over. I would see a champion, possibly some other Northeast tricks. Anyone here race and champion? I have raced at champion a couple times. Best class at Champion Speedway for a heavy adult, many carts at A carrier class. So there's at Champion Speedway. There's really only one clone class, and last year it was 365. It may be bumped up to 375 this year. So I'm assuming that's heavy. It's kind of funny because in my mind that's not all that heavy. I come from UAS stuff, and 400 to 430 pounds is a pretty basic cart weight for the as heavy as our bodies are and everything. But yeah, Champion has, as far as I know, one clone class. That's mostly around here. There aren't, with the exception of, I don't want to say, a couple of the tracks only really have one clone class. So in a lot of upstate, we'll call it upstate, Western New York, there's a lot of Predator classes. AMS is not one of those. AMS has mostly cloned with one Predator class or two Predator classes, to whereas tracks out east New York, we'll say Central and East, they have a lot of Predators out there, so they typically have one, maybe two clone classes, but usually it's 365 or 375. So I'd consider that a heavy. Even though I would say 400 is probably a heavy class to me. But anyway, that's just mine, my personal perception of that. But yeah, if you're gonna race at Champion, um, it's I think there's only one clone class, and there's other obviously kid classes and this and that. But as far as an adult clone class, there's that. But there's also adrenaline. Um, I don't think they're not going to be running every Saturday. And then Dreamfield is running opposite of Champion. So as far as I know, it's going to be Champion and Dreamfield running on Fridays because Brandon had that kind of pulled out from underneath him. He was going to be running on Saturdays, but the something with the track or something with the lease or something, they forced him to be on Friday nights too. So there's that. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I know. It snowed again today in New York. I'm over it. I'm super over it. I really, now that I have painted the chassis, that I've started to survive winter, and I'm thinking about the 2025 season, starting to get my stuff ready, starting to think about videos of what I got to do with bringing you guys along with the process of putting bearings in the recon and this and that. And then here I am at work, and I throw open the overhead door to let a coworker out with a car, and it's snowing, and I'm like, dude, I know it's the end of February. I know it's supposed to be like this every year. I get really ticked off that it's still like this, but it is, it is what it is. Um, Broker Rocker, yeah, that's a bummer. Say, I love open engines. I love, anything fast. It's great. Obviously, I like the clone class now, which is something I never thought I'd say. But when you get into open stuff, when you start pushing the limits of engines, no matter it be a clone, a flathead, if you start pushing the limits on a 252 stroke, a 450, when you get into open racing, that is one of the things that you just have to deal with is your survival is key. You can push the limits, you can have ultimate speed, you can have a lot of horsepower if you tone it down a little bit and still use the concepts that you would use in a lower class, in a slower class. It seems to go a little better having your engine survive, because attrition is a very, very real thing in UAS racing. I have run a lot of years. A majority of my kart racing has been in the open class, and finishing is a little trickier than that. And things such as rocker arms, things that I've lost the little E clip that holds the cable to a set of dual Buller dual 360s. Engine was running, but that little 25-cent clip came off, and I had no throttle, and it killed me. It's tiny little stuff. Maintenance is definitely key. Not saying you didn't do maintenance, but it is, when you run open card engines, it's a lot. There's a lot more to it than clones. Now, I've thought about doing a video on that, and I probably will. Because there's such a vast difference between the two classes. We use, a lot of similar components between the two, but I find I work on the clone less, but tires more. And then you go to unopen and you run, you work on the engine and components more, on the physical, chassis and all that stuff more, and the tires less. I mean, you can work the tires the same, um, and devote that time, but your time is better served actually completing a race. To whereas, it's not super often that clones just nuke themselves. I mean, they do it. You'll lose a ride, you'll lose a this. Things can go wrong with it. Anything can go wrong with it. Any kind of racing engine. But I'm saying, from a standpoint, unless you're in an accident, typically engines are a little suspect in open racing, because you're pushing the boundaries of how fast you can go. Uh, how's your weekend refresh going, bud? Good. It's leaning against the wall at work. I look at it every day. It's pretty. Uh, I did notice that somebody was it's nice to have a fresh coat on it, of paint on it. I know it's not going to last. Paint with, I did do base clear, and there was a very good reason for doing base clear. So if you are going to shoot your chassis with, if you do everything I did, if you clean up if you DA the chassis and prime it and then put paint on it, if you're just using like a spray bomb can, if you're using something, it's not that it won't hold up. You have to consider this, that anytime you use a solvent, if you're using something, like a carb clean, a brake clean, or something like that, if you get it on the chassis, that's going to break down into the paint a lot easier if it's a spray bomb. To whereas, I work on cars for a living, so we have, base clear, and it's urethane, so it's gonna set up, it has a catalyst, and it's gonna harden that. So if I get those substances on the chassis, it's not going to eat into the paint. It's not going to, just, I'm not going to be wiping off blue. If you, those of you who saw the chassis is blue now, that's like three different colors combined. It's just what was on the bench left over from jobs, and my boss is super cool to let me do stuff like that. But I took, it was oh geez, was a Subaru color and a Kia color and some other blue that I just found, and I kind of blue and mix them all together. So that is super custom. I just needed more to, enough to cover the chassis, and then a little bit of clear coat in order to seal that in, and give it some protectant, like I just said. Um, do you lash your valves after so many? You're supposed to. Um, ARC, ARC. They have videos on that. I really should do a better job of sharing information because that's what this channel is about. It's helping people. I should do. I should share videos like that. ARC has some very informative stuff on valve lash. Do I know how to do it? No. Currently, I have two engines running at the same time. My engine builder, I only ran the second engine that I had like 3 times, so that's still not fresh, but it's near fresh. It's the first engine I had, and he'll go ahead and set that this time. It's just it's not something I've done yet. Drawing a blank on his name, but ARC does some great videos on actually setting it, the proper technique, everything else. It's not a bad idea to check. It's not a, especially with the springs can get worn out. Some people like to change springs out every 2 races or something like that, but no more than 6 or 7 races. Getting some fresh springs in there, obviously setting your lash, a properly running engine is going to do way better. uh do you okay, a sponsored, right? Yeah, absolutely. There's been a couple times that I've been I was sponsored a chassis just to run. Years ago, that was a Slack Axiom. It was the first time that happened to me, and I ran exceptionally well. I did pretty good, top 10 in national points in UAS with that. Yeah, I would say if you get the opportunity to have a sponsored anything, take the opportunity, because with that opportunity, other opportunities could come about. It's if it's tough. It's yeah. I've been offered stuff before. I don't like to take advantage of people, and I don't know. I'm in a weird position. I don't want to. I don't ever want to feel like I'm taking advantage of somebody, or somebody thinks that I'm taking advantage of somebody else. So I tend to shy away from most things that are ever offered to me. Not that there's a ton of them, but I've kind of shied away. Like, let's. I'll still fight my own battle for now. Finishing a race most of the time. Okay. Yeah, you aren't kidding. There's been numerous times. We'll take my best points finish to date in UAS was 2023 Grand Nationals. We're in Georgia, GKK, and attrition. A lot of people got taken out. A lot of people broke stuff. A lot of people were off track. A lot of this and that. They re-rack them, re-rack them, re-rack them, and next thing you know, I'm sitting in. I think I was sitting in eighth, and I had a real fast cart. Scythe was on point that day, and I was able to pass a couple carts coming towards the end, and then I could see the leaders, which is, I know that's weird to say, but you're also talking about Evan C, Robbie Yao, those guys. They're just fast, and it's their backyard. That southern stuff is not my cup of tea. But I got up to fifth, and finishing. It's very. I mean, there were carts yeeting themselves off the off the track. Just they was gone. I was like, holy crap. But yeah, nice. Yes, yes. Grape is great. It's excellent, excellent product. I suggest that to anybody if they're if you're looking for a prop in the cold springtime, fall time. Now, if you're running indoor racing, it's dirt racing. Grape, you can run grape as a you can build up some. You can wipe coming to the race day, and it's fine as like a base layer type of thing. Then maybe use some more grape or SQS to fire it off. But both grape and SQS are made for sub 60, 50 degree, those really cold days. They dry quick. They're very aggressive. I don't think either of them soften as hard as, say, a Better and Go P or a Topaz, but they both have a really good reaction to that cold weather, bringing the tire into the track when it's very cold. So yeah, I hope that goes really really well for you. This week. I'm going just updated with the clone Mike at Motorworks. Uh, I just dropped off the one clone down to Shingle House, and it's getting updated. So it's getting cam, it's getting billet rod, and a piston or anything it needs. It's just uh, do what you do what you got to do to make it right, make it, you know, current and fresh and all that stuff, and that'll be the engine that I primarily run. um I will try and run the open a little more this year, because I have to become a member of UAS again. It's been a couple of years for that, and then I got to run quarter points in order to not qualify, but it's yeah, you have to run one quarter point race in order to go to the Grand Nationals. You have to be a member, but if you're going to run one quarter point, you might as well run two, get all your points, and go in. I have no, you know, forecast of, you know, being national champion this year, especially after taking a couple years of, you know, mild UAS racing. Getting back into it, getting my cart working again, you know, to where it's the dynamics are different. You know, I spent this past year running mostly the clone, and I'll have to get a little better used to the open. It was a riot in September when I got to run it, but I definitely need to work on my handling stuff. Just threw a base a base setup in it, and track was super rough, as you guys saw. If you saw that video, I was bouncing all over the freaking place, and that was tough to deal with. I'm not old, but I'm older, and that stuff hurts. When tracks are that rough, it really takes its toll on me. Uh, but yes, I talked to my engine builder, Mike Pease, and he said that he's been putting billet rods in them. Obviously, the CL4. Why do I want to? I always screw up which cam it is. The modern cam in it, the NKA crank or cam, and yeah, it's getting freshened up. So, but I'll have the other one that is still last year's, and that's my, if something by chance goes wrong with the freshened engine, you know, God forbid, I don't think I'll be that far off. I just won't be able to, you know, I'll have to take in consideration with the new billet rod and the new cam. I'll have to back off a couple teeth and get that thing back in. I had better success not turning a ton of RPM in last year's engine anyway. When I started to try and wick it up, I don't know if I was gear bound or not. I still have to do a video on that, but it didn't behave correctly. Now, yeah, I think the video this week is going to be on that concept of whether or not you know you want to choose to get off the corner better or into the corner better as far as gearing. I think that's a topic that needs to be explained, especially, you know, for newer racers. What do you want to do? You know, you're working within a parameter of RPM. Which would you rather have, and what, when you're setting up for the corner, what does that mean to you? I think I can go into depth into it. I think it'll be pretty cool. Uh, all right, Benny updated to close. Salem. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, definitely hit the like button. I never say that. You know, it's funny that I have my little repertoire at the beginning of the videos, and people, you know, I've had people say, you know, "Ooh, why do you do that?" It's so I don't forget. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not a, you know, a member. Uh, it's just it's easy for me to remember. It's repetitive. You know, I kind of nice and fast get it out of the way. But yeah, hitting likes on this live is great too. It will be interesting to see the difference between. Yeah. Um, and NKA allowing, but I last year AKRA. All right, so last year you could port AKRA. The cam was the NKA cam was illegal, so they just took them both and went and put them together. So and there was even like a push rod thing. Push rod. Yeah, there was a length that was allowed and disallowed in NKA, and I believe AKRA and NKA came together. So essentially, the only redheaded stepchild is WKA now, and I don't even know how that goes. Like, do you have to have, if you're going to run WKA? Is you can't run your spec or AKRA NKA engine? I don't know. I don't like it at all. I wish WK had just follow suit. I mean, this is my understanding that they haven't yet, but I could be wrong. Oh, last year update. Sale 4, yes. Are you running gas or alcohol in the clone? I'm running gas. What is it? Whatever the cheap stuff is, 87 octane. I haven't had any fuel teching yet. I don't think there's a ton of advantage there. Um, it takes You see that in opens too. Like some people run some seriously hot fuel. Um, my kid's surprised I did leg day today. I skipped leg day on Tuesday and I did leg day today, and my kids just texted me saying, I'm surprised you did that. Anyway, the like in a KT 100, for instance, at some point the octane rating doesn't help the engine's performance. Now, there is something to be said about clean fuel. If you're running pump gas, the ethanol in it's going to cause it it could possibly make it act erratic. You could have heat issues, this and that. This is a in two-stroke world, but there is some point in which uh, an octane rating doesn't do you as good as you think you're going to do. Like I've had multiple people say, we'll take KT 100, for instance, 100cc piston port engine, that they say if you run too high of an octane, it actually doesn't allow the engine to see its performance potential. That not that you want to run bad gas in it, but you don't want to run like a 112 octane in it. It won't handle it. It's not built for that. It'll run 100 octane, uh or somewhere in that range, far more efficiently. But yeah, there you are, the gas. But yeah, in my clone, definitely gas. In my open, I run methanol. I am ordering some. Trying to get as much bite as possible without softening any. The diamond will soften, so just careful with how many wipes you're doing. But diamond was meant for, I want to say, mealy, if you understand what I mean. It was developed for like Midwest tracks. Sometimes they get kind of not not loose, but not packed. That in between kind of medium type track, it's fairly aggressive, but not. Boy, people are blowing my phone up. Sorry. Um, I should probably put it on airplane mode or something when I'm doing this. But it's made for those kind of just kind of hard to get a hold tracks, but not nothing too loose, nothing too dry and say dry and dusty is going to be black sand. And you know too hard packed is, it's the in between. It's aggressive but not overly aggressive. It's made for something that isn't, yeah. It's hard to explain. I'd say medium track. I'll just say that is. I don't use it a ton. It will soften your durometer, so just be careful with it. Not too many wipes. I would try one or two at the track, see what it does. Try one at first, and then go from there. What do you think about this? Ooh, what do you think? What do you think the second gap would be for an older unprepped tire versus a newer prepped tire? You think it could be 2 seconds? Just a new tire compared to an old tire, depending on what surface you are, it could be serious. Even taking prep out of the system. I think that with the older tire, you can close the gap on a newer tire with prep. The a newer tire in generality, is going to be faster. Whether or not there could be an argument made for Maxxis, whether it's not been if it's been heat cycled or propped or this or that. But in general, say we'll take Burris for instance, because they're a sponsor of the channel. From what I've heard, this isn't my experience, that after about 4 or 5 races of a set of 11s, they fall off 2 to 3 tenths. That's just a brand new tire to having that amount of runs. So people after the 3 to 4 runs are getting brand new sets of tires because they don't want to lose the 2 to 3 tenths. Whether or not this is true, I don't know. I ran a used set that was a full year older, and I won a race. I ran top 5 with them, so maybe I was giving up a tenth or two. But that's, if you're going to either improve the older tire with prep, or you're really going to improve the newer tire with it. But I'd say even newer tires are just in general going to be faster. It doesn't mean all the time. Sometimes you run an older tire because it's harder, because it's already been heat cycled and all that, and sometimes it is going to nail it. It is going to be the best tire you've ever had on that track. But in general, people buy new tires for a reason, because they're fresh. The oils are fresh. The rubber's fresh. It's going to bite harder. It's going to do its job as it's intended. Older stuff, the oils are starting to wick away. They're starting to get used. They've been through multiple heat cycles. It's just not going to perform as good as a newer tire. I did experience that quite a bit last year. I mean, I was on used stuff. I tried to run 2019 tires that were prepped pretty well, SS33s, against brand new 2024s, and I got lapped. So there's that. I mean, it's a 8-second track, but I got lapped. I don't know what it was. Was it a 40 lap feature? I got lapped probably 25 to 30 laps in. So yeah, you're. I don't know if you're giving 2 seconds a lap off, but you're giving up time. And that, like I said, that was a 5-year-old tire, but it was prepped pretty good. I mean, I laid it to it, and they were great up front. They were the great burst speed, but as the tire was required to do its job, as the prep burned off, it didn't care for it. The older rubber just wasn't as fast as the new rubber. That's my opinion on that. Uh, yeah, yep. That's and he's not wrong. Sometimes an unprepped tire is faster. I got beat the last race of the season by pure straight up SS11s. I had prepped again. They were a year old, mind you, but they were a couple race old, brand new, nothing wiped down. I went out, and the only thing you really, especially if you don't internally prep like you would, it's my suggestion, you don't really internally prep Burris. The only thing that you're going to give up is short run speed if you're not wiping them, right off the bat. That's the generally one wipe, two wipe, something like that on an SS11, something not super aggressive, because you don't want to soften it too much. For most tracks, you're giving up a little short run speed, but gaining long run speed, because you're not going to have that time when it's a possibility that the prep shuts off, that you have burned through the prep, and then there's going to be a transition there. And if your cart's not set up for that, if it's only set up for when you have max grip at the beginning of the run, it's going to start to get free on you. Just my opinion on that, though. What has maybe been discussing? Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I don't. We can talk about stuff over and over again. Doesn't bother me a bit. Is the billet rod necessary? No. So, am I getting a billet rod put into my engine now that is being rebuilt? Yes. And why? Because you wouldn't, and I agree with my engine builder, not that he's trying to sell me parts, but I agree that you don't, if I'm getting a fresh piston, if I'm getting the brand new cam, but the rod is got a season on it, essentially, are you going to risk the engine for cheaping out on that? Now, buying a brand new build, say hey, I'm in the market for a brand new clone, and I want obviously it's going to be AKRA and NKA. You might as well get the billet rod, because it's truer. It's going to sustain RPM better without that worry about it coming apart. Do I think that a brand new standard rod is going to come apart? No. I've had to explain to me, a couple times to engine builders, that there's nothing wrong with the standard rod. But if you're going to spend the money, to buy a brand new engine, might as well get that. And if you're going to refresh it, if your rod already has a season or two on it, are you really going to run the risk of breaking a rod, just because you're, not wanting to spend a couple bucks? It's probably a better idea just to have it put in. I'm not telling you that you have to, but there's nothing wrong with the standard rods. But it's kind of like it's the better option. There's nothing wrong with the other option, but it's the better option in the long run. It's going to sustain more RPM. It's going to be a little truer, a little less possibility of defects, such stuff like that. Kind of. My chassis got, sorry, talking a lot. We run PPG uh, at the shop. Um, Solvent base. We have eco too. We have water base, but I didn't use that. It was just what the paint had we had kicking around on the shelf. Little bags there. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're inner liner for a spray gun, and there was just there's a bunch of them laying out that were leftover paint from whatever jobs, and there was like three similar blues. That's the only reason I went with the blue is because there was three similar ones. I was like, hey, if I mix all three of those together, I'll have plenty of paint to cover this chassis, and it'll cost me less money. But yeah, I run PPG, and then I just ran some. If you know what Omni is a PPG product, but their lower line, Omni Clear, Fast Clear. That's what went on it. What do you think? What do I think of KTM? I watch Supercross. I think they're cool. As far as open engines, so in the two-stroke world, they have the most proficient porting available. Most engines, CRs, YZs, KX is kind of they stopped making two stroke for a long time. I hear they got a new one coming out, 252 stroke, from the ads anyway. But from my knowledge, KTM two strokes have the most efficient, best porting there is, make the most power, sustained RPM, stuff like that. That's Bergfelt makes his Vindicator out of PA from the KTM cylinder. But the four strokes, you don't see a ton of them. The reason I like the 300. Oh, cool. Two stroke. I'm assuming so. Two. Yeah, it's got to be two stroke, right? Um, but four strokes. The reason you see so many CRs and Hondas in UAS is because they have separate transmission oil from case oil, and therefore you can hack the transmission off. It doesn't require that. To whereas if you do the same, if you make the same mod, if you get rid of the transmission like we do, just run a centrifugal clutch or a jack shaft system of some sort on the 450s, you have to weld up stuff or you have to have custom case, and it's just a lot of to do. To where is a you can honestly, like Heger uh out of the Northwest there makes a conversion kit for the CR450 to where you can jack shaft it just by essentially gutting the transmission, and they have a gear set that goes on the right side, comes over, and you put a clutch and just run a standard clutch on a CR. So you see a lot of Hondas. I'm not a Honda guy. Weird story. My old man used to race motocross when I was a kid, and he broke his shoulder riding a CR250, and I haven't liked Honda since. It's nonsensical. It's stupid. It's the way I am. I'm a Yamaha guy. I've run KT100s, and the Bama is a Yamaha. I've been a Yamaha guy for quite some time. Used to be, I used to root for Suzuki in Supercross and stuff like that, but they really took a backseat when they just refused to update their stuff. Drives you friggin' nuts. I hate when it's just like go. Every other manufacturer has electric start. Every other manufacturer has this and that. Now Suzuki's make great power uh, in their 450s, but they're just as far as a motocross type of engine, they're still kickstart Kenny. Kenny Roxon still has to kick that thing, and when he stalls it, that's a pain. So I said that I was going to have topics and stuff like that. This kind of fell into my lap because I went to the UAS conference the past weekend. I went to Pittsburgh. 5-hour trip down into PA. I dropped off my engine, went into down into Pittsburgh. I hate cities. I don't. If I could stay out of them ever, that'd be great. We went there. It was fun. It was bar scenario. Ernie Confer did the state of the UAS, what we're looking to do in UAS racing, to come back to the forefront of open kart racing. It was really cool. There should be some more followed up on that. Anyway, there was a raffle to raise money for Mark Bergfeld and a whole bunch of awesome companies, Burris, TS Racing. They're just a bunch of products that were, you bought tickets and then you put them in a bag and you were able to win these prizes. So one of the companies that I thought this was sweet. So I'm going to do a full video eventually here on these products, show you just briefly on this live, but Star Pro products. I saw this and I was just like, man, I gotta have them. So I kind of reached out to Mr. Deem. So, so what is this, Ben? This goes on your tire surfacer. This is one of the products. So we'll unscrew this and I'll kind of show you. Like I said, I'll do a full video, but 1.25 inch. So this goes on the end where your hub would go for your tire surfacer. Here's the pins. Your rim and tire goes on here. So this is going to on the end of your tire surfacer. And instead of running nuts, you have this. So the tire, rim, you have to imagine it, because I'm not making it, but then you hand tighten and you can tighten on your rim. That's sweet. I had to have one. They have a couple different versions. If yours doesn't have a 1.25 inch axle, I don't have this version. Like mine is home built, but I can show you this anyway. If you have a different version, so I'm assuming this is this is internal. It's got a wedge system. Think of your bumper. Think of your rear bumper and how it's attached inside. So this would slide inside the end again of your surfacer, and then you would draw this bolt down tight, and would cause a wedge and cause that. But same concept. Tightens on there. I do believe. I'll have to experiment with this, see if I can make that work. But I wanted to, Mr. Deem sent it out to me to check that out. And then the other thing, there's another one of these cool things. This goes in your drill. And then it's a tire washer. I'll show you the other half. Same concept. Here's your pins. Rim and tire go on there. But this one is for dirty tires. So you cinch that on there. Your drill would be in this side. And then you would put into this bucket. You can have your cleaning solution. There's a brush in there. There's a squeegee. He says right in the instructions, you could buy the bucket and do all that stuff yourself if you want to save some money. But you would, you attach your dirty tire on that, stick it down in the bucket, and then be able to hit it with the brush and the squeegee. Who sells the tire buffer quick connect? Star Pro. Let me get this out of here. Oh wait. Tire washing. Here, I'll show you this one. It's all the same website, so it's starproproducts.com. I know it's backwards. I'm sorry, but starproproducts.com. And gives you a little doodad here. Shows you all that stuff, and then on the back side, different colors. There's the bucket, the brushes. Yeah, it's super cool. I had seen this stuff before, and I think I had shared it on Kart 63 Facebook page, and I kind of out of my mind, out of sight, out of mind type of thing. But I was like, man, that stuff's really cool. I got to get my hands on stuff. Well, I ended up, due to the raising money for Mark Bergfeld, I got my hands on the washer and stuff, and then Mr. Dean sent that out to me. So yeah, full review, full showing of the product coming eventually. I told him today, I said I received these stuff today. I wanted to kind of talk about it, but full video coming. I'm gonna wait. It's like I said, it snowed today. If I can not freeze my tush off, I want to have some nice hot water. I still have some dirty tires because I always have dirty tires, because sometimes you all know, I know that it's not the proper thing to do. Do as I say, don't do as I do. Frustrated with the night's events, stuff my crap in my trailer and just drive it home. So I have some dirty Vegas that are perfect for a demonstration for this bucket here. It's going to be really cool. I know Rich. Nice. Yeah. Rich, super nice guy. I like I said, sometimes I'm flighty. Everybody that knows me kind of sees that. I have good intentions. I was like, hey man, I got to get my hands on that, and then just kind of poof out of my head. And then yeah, definitely would. I think this, I'm telling you, this thing right here, and I was like, man, I hate when I go to surface a tire and I got to put it up there and I get zit, zit, zit. I mean, we do it with the carts all the time. We do it at the track, but also this is awesome. Just being able to hand tighten it and then I'm done, because sometimes you do a ton of tires and it just gets old. Zit, zit, zit. All right, and then change your tire, zit, 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 and put it back on. This will, reduce that. North Carolina. I would love to. It's time and money. It's not so much time. Like I got thinking about running the clone. Like I don't have to bring my trailer if I know what tires. If I can ballpark it, what kind of durometer, what kind of track I'm going to be on coming down south. My truck is, I have a truck. I can just stuff my clone. It will fit in the bed of my truck. I can cut, pile some tires and toolbox. And I got thinking about that. It's like it's not, even though my trailer is a 4x8, it's tiny. I barely even know it's back there. It's really unnecessary for me to bring it to clone events like that. I traveled quite a few years with UAS in a caravan. I had a 2001 caravan. I took out the third row seating, and then I put the cart in there. I packed everything around it, and I drove to tracks and did. I won a lot of races like that. So it kind of entered my brain last year. Like if I do want to make these trips, if I do go out to Weedsport in April, I may just stuff the cart in the back of the truck and go for a drive, and then end up at a racetrack. I think that there's something to be said for that. Trailers are nice. Having all your amenities with you, is it necessary? Sometimes no. Sometimes it's better just to get to the track and have the experience. That's my opinion on that. Uh, and I want to show you this. I had one of these already, but I was able to acquire a new one. If you guys have ever seen these or use them yourself, tire sizer. Yes, it's it's a tape measure. Well, it's got the measurements on it, so it tells you stagger on the other side. Um, so when you wrap it around, it'll tell you how much stagger you're running, like in your front or rear. I'm pretty sure that's the same, right? Yes. But my other one is sold. I mean, I've had my other one. It's lasted. And there's nothing really wrong with it except for all the paint's coming off the backside of it. But I was able to procure another one of these. TS Racing has them though. Tire sizer. I met the gentleman that created this. Matter of fact, I think he gave that one to me. Boy, it had to have been like 15 years ago or better. It was a while ago that I met him. I met him down. I was down south somewhere. I think my dad introduced me to him. I think that's all the cool stuff I got up here. Oh no, I'm sorry. Here's the other thing I wanted to kind of. Here's another Star Pro product, and it's I I got kind of handed this, and I was like, oh, I didn't even understand what it was at first. Um, but it's a chain luber, so how well you can see it. Again, this will be in the video. I'll dive into stuff, but this is to put over your chain and get a nice. I believe it's chain luber, right? Or was it? Yeah, chain luber. Yeah. So it gets a nice even coat of stuff. You can hook it right up to it. Like I said, I'll do a full video. What's going on, Bill? Just shooting the breeze over here. I know it's my my other sponsor. Hopefully they're back on board this year. Beard Octane is doing a live stream right now. I'll catch them, when I get off of here. But they like to do monthly live streams, talk beer products. One of the girls that works kind of behind the scenes, Holly, she used to work for another or owned her own company before, and she's a fantastic intellect. She knows more about men's grooming products and women's soaps and body scrubs than I care. It's amazing how much knowledge is in there. But she's going to be one of the featured people on there. Beard Octane is an excellent company uh, to be part of. Oh, and I want a gift card for Treadway Speed Shop, or what was that? Hooray, Treadway, yeah, Treadway Speed Shop. So they got body work and stuff like that. I get that question a lot. Body work for UAS stuff, the wedge bodies and stuff. First person you think of that, you think of C High Performance. They have anything you can think of, from carbon fiber to standard to plastic to ABS bodies, whatever. C does really good job. If there, some of the stuff, not all of it, is a little more on the expensive side. Cool. Fusion Composites is another company that does fiberglass panels at treadwayshop.com. And then there's, I believe it's A&M. They're out in the Midwest. They are doing body work. There's other places too, but right off the top of my head, people ask me, where do I get wedge panels, this and that. I think I have a video on it. You can buy them, obviously other places if you don't want to, or Signboard makes a really good medium for that. I suggest the 6 millimeter thick. It's called Coroplast, so it's corrugated plastic. Looks like cardboard. It's plastic. It's lightweight. It's durable. Takes a shot. That type of stuff. But if you want to invest some more money, I don't think you get any better than C High Performance as far as, if you have the money to spend, if you have disposable income, carbon fiber sides, wings, that whole 9 yards. They probably have the most high end stuff available. But then after that, like I said, Treadway, Fusion Composites has good side panels and wings, I believe. And then I think it's AMN, A&M. Boy, I'll have to check that out. I always I want to tell people about stuff and then I forget exactly what they're saying. Last, yeah, I agree. Yeah, Randy Treadway. Yep, I know that dude. I raced against him, and he shows up the AMS pretty much every weekend down in Wellsville. Or as I was speaking to somebody from Wellsville, and they're like, "Oh, you mean Allentown?" It's just like, it's the yes, Allen. Technically, it's in Allentown, but like, I'm in Dansville right now. I used to live in Sparta, which is 10 minutes that way. That way, and I wrote Dansville on my address. Yes, we know it's technically a different town, but it's a subsidiary of the bigger town. Just some people, I just like, I'm not from there. Oh, what's going on? Oh, of course, I remember Dan Gill and Mr. Schinberger. What is going on? You heard AMS and you're like, hey, man. I know where that is. Yep. Yeah, Mr. Guild. Dan Guild holds the track record down at AMS. That thing was ripping that night. That 450 was barking, man. It's tough. It's that track used to be two-stroke friendly, and not saying you can't get around there on a two-stroke anymore, because it's a setup thing. But as it developed into a more of a clone, kind of circular type of track, it really lend itself to the 450s. Their torque getting off the corner. Obviously, it's a small track. I don't know what he turned, like a 7.3 or something like that. I mean, just freaking moving. Clones are somewhere in the eights. Mid eight or low eights, mid eights to nines, give or take. And he was just getting it done. Ooh, pardon me. It's a pretty sweet clutch. Nice, cool. Yeah, Randy's a good dude. There you go. 7.4. Yeah. That's friggin' moving, man. Uh geez, years ago, the track hasn't gotten smaller, but it's gotten it got so anyway, it's been Layfields before, John. It used to be super tight, super banked. And not that it's not still banked, but it used to be more paper clip ish, and two very, very different corners. he took and he moved the backstretch out a bit more. And you would think, hey, a bigger track, you're going to run slower lap times. No, you carry more momentum now. You can really, even on a clone, you can really rile the thing up. You have a tendency, if you've seen the videos or not, that you run up on the banking on the straightaways, and then much like like a Dover or a Bristol, you fall, you kind of dip down into the corner more on the flat, get it pointed and go. And there's still two very unique corners, but they've over the years they're not as big of a difference as they once were. They used to, I used to fight. Just you had to really trust your right rear in 3 and 4 on an open before. Now that I've run clone there, still the same sensation, just not as big of a degree of trust you have to have in the right rear. And you'll find that a lot of tracks are, even though they're technically an oval, technically, they're the way a kart races it on a track that looks like it's the same will not behave. You'll be tight or loose in either corner. They never quite behave exactly like, there's imperfections. They're human made, so they're not going to be dead on exact. We're not running in a simulation as far as we know. There's going to be discrepancies in the way way you can set up a cart. Sometimes you need to take the faster corner and uh, almost set up for the slower corner to be better, and just get through the faster corner as best you can. Uh, but that's, yeah. Dan is nice. Heck yeah. That's, yeah. I was. I have a hard time running at AMS with a two stroke anymore. It's a setup thing. It's my fault. It's lack of being on the cart as much as I used to. When I started racing KT100 on the flat cart, and then I got into clone racing, I got, it's been less and less that I've been on the open, and it's just a feel thing. It's not even so much getting used to the power, but the way the cart behaves through the corner is a lot different than in a clone. So it's getting, if I try if I try and run the open more this year, which I really should, because if I'm going to the Grand Nationals, I should probably get my hands around that. That it's different. It's just different. Holy crap! Hi from United States. Thanks for stopping in. That's cool. Somebody from Brazil watching this. That's insane. Uh, Sometimes it's hard to imagine. It took me a long time to get to this point to be able to put myself out there for people, and be able to fill the space, because you got to think from this end of things, I'm literally looking at myself on a screen. That's all I'm doing. And obviously reading the chat, but it's me in a room. That's it. And to put yourself out there to have a conversation with essentially nobody. I'm having a conversation. I'm reading and answering questions and all that stuff. But to think that this is kind of, the internet is forever. Anybody can watch it. Anybody can be flipping through YouTube right now and see who's this dude that's just talking, to them. What does that say behind him? Track deck tire treatments. And why is he talking about go-karts? It's just it's pretty cool. Kansas. That's awesome too. I don't think I've ever been to Kansas. Have I been through Kansas? So I've been, no, geez. Where the heck did I go? Lazowski Speedway. I've been across, and I went that way. I went to Lazowski. That was weird being out in the Midwest. Like, we're in farmland, flyover country. Farmland's super important. But it was weird to look out and everything's flat. So where I'm at, it's not. Well, I live in a valley, so everything's hilly. Uh, and you get to look around. But then when we got out to the Midwest, it was like, and Florida the same way. Like, people have come up here. Even one of my best friends, his wife, she grew up in Michigan, and Michigan's a little flatter than it is in New York. She moved to Florida, lives in Florida, with Jamie, and then when she came up, it's just like you come to this area, and we have Western New York is I want to say poor, it's old. Our and it's very hilly. Like I said, I live in a valley, Genesee Valley to be specific, and it's strange when I go to places that don't have hills. It's just like, where are your hills, man? Where, it's just, for 40, well, working on 48 years, I've been around hills. Uh, Iowa, nice. I'll be in. Everything goes to plan. I'll be going to Iowa this September. First time going to there. So that's the plan. Uh, yeah, Lazowski was I did not qualify. That was one of the was that the second? I think that was my second attempt at a Grand National. It was my second failure at making the A main. I finally made the A main at Dumplin Valley, which is no longer a track. Burris tires. Huh? But yeah, Lazowski, I went out there the first time we raced out there. It went back to back years. I went out there the first year and yeah, saw uh, Chris Buller and Robbie Yao get together in turns 1 and 2 on the last lap. And Chris ended up winning the race, but he got DQ'd for taking out Robbie. So third place won. I can't remember who won the race. But yeah, it was exciting to watch. I hated that I wasn't out there, but I had engine problems again with the open stuff. I had engine problems, and then my tires weren't on point. It was one of the first times, second or it was probably the second time I ever ran Maxis, and they just weren't the ticket. I want to think I ran Maury's Kings, or maybe they weren't Maury's before they were just Kings. I think I ran Kings on practice on Friday night. And I did okay in practice, but then when it came, the track was actually right, it started to grip up and all that stuff on Saturday. B main. I think the pipe came off, and I just had all sorts of trouble. I was ill prepared for the stage I was trying to perform on, and it took me a lot of years to get my crap together to be able to perform on that stage. The first ever Grand National I made, I got lapped. Now, mind you, I got lapped by Harold Wiggins Jawa. It was, I think there's 3 or 4 laps to go, something like that, and yikes, just came roaring by me, and I was like, ah, man, yep. Uh, yeah, exactly, yeah. That's what's going on, Virginia. That's awesome. I like Virginia. Where have I run in Virginia? Margarettsville. I ran at Margarettsville. I was it was a regular UAS race. We had gone down there, stayed with a friend in North Carolina or North Carolina. No, he lived on the edge of Virginia, something like that. Anyway, we went to Margarettsville. It was Margarettsville in Virginia. Anyway, we went there, and I was running second to my buddy One Eye, uh, Joey Torreson back in the day, and I had wrecked into him in practice. Just slip up, and I got him. I mean, I sent him off the track, destroyed his rim. I felt horrible about it. So when it came to the feature, I was clearly faster than him. I was given the old love taps, but after what I did to him in practice, I wasn't about to take it. I knew what it was going to take to pass him, and I wouldn't do it. I wasn't going to get into the guy twice. He's my friend. The, hell with a win. I can't do that. I've made a lot of mistakes in racing, but if I'm aware of stuff like that, if I know what what I've done to somebody before, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm not going to try that, or at least I attempt to correct something bad I've done. 4-stroke baby, yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, AMS. It's I used to be really good at AMS. It's probably circa 2017, 18, 19. I won John's big race there. His dad's memorial race. I won the uh, Tyler Graves race there, TGR Fest. I won that race. I won some coin from that race or that racetrack. But like I said, since I started tapering off the UAS stuff, uh, and getting into Yamaha, getting into Clone. It's just you it's not that you can't bounce back and forth, but you almost have to do them equally so you have a sense of the, what your chassis is doing. It's just a different experience, and unless I run them equally, it's hard. Yeah, Margarettsville was a fast track. Absolutely, that was it was. I think it was a VDKA race. I've also run Capital City. I sat outside pole there way back when too. I sat outside pole to a Wankel. He beat me like by 7 thousandths of a second, and he was just like, "Hey, how dare you?" It's like you don't know what you're doing for racing down south. He's right. I had HT5s on. Um, I bought them off eBay because somebody said I needed Maxxis, so I bought very outdated HT5s, and I treated them with track tack and sat outside pole with them. And then it was about lap. I don't even know. Just like shut off. Like anybody's had it. I don't think it was obviously I'd kind of burned through whatever product I had on there that was making them grip. And once I got to that base layer of actual HT5 rubber, it just like a light switch just shut off, and I was struggling, man. He took off. Yeah, it was. I mean, wait for it, bro. Heck yeah, that's yeah. I like AMS. He's come a long ways. Way back when, I mean, it's been a long time since we first went down there with opens, and uh, I mean, yeah, you paid up front. There was the whole building that wasn't a thing. The whole inside restaurant wasn't a thing at AMS. It was way back when. John has come a really long ways for it, and I think one of the premier kart tracks in New York. I think that it's really really good. Um, I do have to get out to other tracks. I'm not saying that anything against John or anything, but I got to get out to other tracks and experience like weed sport. That's definitely one I got to get out to. Just travel money, I'll get there. I am going to try this year. I'm going to attempt to. If anybody's uh, watch stuff to watch on YouTube. Super Duper South. Tatum just did an interview on the Four Takes and Fuel. It's great to hear his side of the story from why he does what he does. He does vlog style races and this and that. Awesome, just awesome footage with awesome edits and all that stuff. Also, Degenerate Garage, both out of Florida, but that vlog style. I may attempt a little bit of it this year. I said in a video before that I was talking about social media. It's difficult. I'm somebody who doesn't crave attention. I'm not afraid of attention. Obviously, do this, but to have be like, hey guys, what's going on? It's a weird concept to me. I'm gonna try it. I'll try and do that. I'll try and get that some of that stuff out. It's not going to be as nicely edited as Super Duper South or Degenerate Garage because I do everything on my phone. But I'm going to attempt to do some vlog stuff this year. Just give you the experience of when I go to places. I'm going to attempt to do it. If I do in fact go to Weedsport in April, my attempt is going to be to do a vlog style. Don't know if I can wear the GoPro on my helmet or not there. If not, I'll mount it on a fairing and get some racing there, or if I can get somebody to hold my phone and actually record when I'm out there just to add it. But yeah, I would like to eventually do stuff on my computer. I do have a laptop. Buying the editing software and learning it, it's no problem. It's just that seems like a job. It's super easy for me to do everything on my phone. It's all in one. I got the iPhone Pro and all that. Lots of room to put videos and this and that. And it's simple for me. And that seems like such a grown up thing to do when if I actually were to get a camera and then were to run software and do cool edits, I think it would be awesome. I just, it's not like I can't figure it out, but also like it seems like a big boy step. You know, I'm just here to help. Where'd my dude go? What else we got in here? Hybrid Predator, the guy who's cool. That's funny. They Michael, that's funny. My buddy Tommy may or may not have had a cheated up KT100. And I knew what he was doing, or at least that he was doing something. And was asked. He says, "Do you have a problem with that?" I said, "I don't have a problem until you beat me with it. And then once you beat me with it, then I have a problem with it." And he didn't beat me with it. He was tinkering around with stuff. Yeah. Let me go with how much black. Yeah, it's tough. You could drop a where they are, what type of racing, and what your thoughts. Give us racers that don't know or doesn't have Facebook to look for. Oh, okay. Sunday video on racetracks. Oh yeah, yeah. That's actually, yeah. I can I could do a video on tracks that I've been to. Most tracks that I've been to is an open experience, and that's my only, probably the only downside to that. Hence why I'm running, more clone, and getting that experience, not only for myself but for you guys, because it's tough that, when you're primarily an open guy, it's hard for me to translate what you guys are experiencing because it's so different. Now that I am on a clone, I have very little experience with the tires, the culture, the this and that with clone racing. So dipping my toe in, I spent a lot of time at AMS, ran champion, ran adrenaline last year on the clone, trying to weed sport, try and get out there, try and run a bit more of these tracks and be able to relay and experience, to you guys what that was like. It's my intent anyway. Hopefully, it's cubic dollars, as I always say, cubic dollars. But all right, it has been, all right, it has been over an hour. We will call it now. I got to jump over to the Beard Octane and say hi to those people in that live stream. You're more than welcome to go over there. But typically, if you don't have a beard, you're not into beard related stuff. I am. I have the beard. I like their products. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks, for stopping by and hanging with me for another Thursday night. Video coming Sunday, and it will probably be on the gearing thing. I think I have some thoughts on it. We'll see what I come up with. But all right, guys, I'll catch you later.